square root of x minus 3, and we are asked to find the average rate of change from x equals 4 to multiple other x values. So we don't really want to have to waste a lot of time going back and doing each individual one on the calculator. So here's one way that we can tackle this. We have y1 here on the calculator, and we are going to go square root of x minus 3. So we're just going to enter in our function. And what we can do here is, normally we make a table, okay? So we're going to go second and graph. And the table will go up by the same amount each time, and that's kind of nice, but all that really gets me is the 4, 5, 6, and 7, and we're actually asked to find some decimal values in here. One setting that sometimes people don't even know about on your calculator is if you go to second and window here for the table settings, and you go down to the independent variable and you switch it from automatic to ask. So you go over to ask and you hit enter. Now when you go back to your table, you see a blank table. And so what I'm going to do here is enter in these values that are important to me: 7, 6, 5, 4.5, 4.1, 4. And you see here that at 4, the function is equal to 1. Okay, now this is nice because it gets me what the function is equal to at each of these values. So I've got f of 7 is this, f of 6 is this, and so on and so forth. So y1 is storing all of the values of f of whatever these numbers are here. All right, so we can do better though. So let's go back to here, and on y2, we're going to set this up so that it calculates the average rate of change for us for each one of these values. So we want to take each time f of whatever this number is minus f of 4, which we know is 1, and then divide that by whatever our x value is minus 4. Okay, so it's still change in y over change in x. So I'm going to go here to the vars menu for variables, and I'm going to go over to y variables, choose function, and hit enter for y1. Okay, so y1, remember, is storing all of those values for what the function is equal to at different points. I'm going to go y1 minus 1. Now, where's the 1 coming from? All of these average rate of change problems are dealing with x equals 4. At 4, when I do 4 minus 3, I get 1, and the square root of 1 is 1. Okay, so my y value there is always going to be the same number. I'm going to divide that by. Now, y1 stored all the function values. X is just going to give me all of the regular x values. I'm going to go x minus 4. So we're always going from the point 4, 1 to the point x, comma, y1. And so y2 is going to calculate all my average rates of change. So now when I go back to my table, what I can see here is that my average rate of change from 4 to 7 is this 0.333. The average rate of change from 4 to 6 is the 0.366, and so on and so forth. And so that makes it much, much quicker. I can do all of them at once instead of doing each individual one. So that's your graphing calculator tip for the morning. So now you've seen how to do this on a graphing calculator, I thought I would show you how to do this on Desmos, because if you're a fan of Desmos like I clearly am, you know that it's maybe a little bit easier to do some things on here than it is on the calculator. I think this one is about equal though. So I have my function entered in here, the square root of x minus 3. Now there's a couple different ways that I could go about this. I could just type in f of 7 minus f of 4, and then divide it by 7 minus 4, and then I could just keep going in and changing the numbers there. Now, if I want to be a little bit more efficient, I could make this into a slider, and I could just change the number on the slider, and it's going to change both of the a values at once. I could type in 6, 5, 4.5, 4.1. Okay, and that would give me all of my different values. So that's one way that I could get those really quick. Also wanted to show you how tables work on Desmos. And so if I add an item here and I add a table and I change this y1, I delete it and I just type in f of x1. Now to get that on my screen, I literally type in an x and then a 1, and it makes the 1 the subscript automatically. So now when I type in values for x here, it's going to give me all of the f of x values. So 5, 6, 7, these were all ones that I was looking at. And if you notice on the graph, it's kind of nice because it will plot the individual points for you. Okay, so now here is another way that I can kind of negotiate this. So let's just eliminate all of these for right now. And let's add a couple more columns on here. So let's call this x2. So again, I just pressed x and pressed 2. And then go f of x2. And then we are going to make an average rate of change column. So we're going to take over here, we're going to go f of x2 minus f of x1. So we're going to get our change in y up there and divide that by x2 minus x1. So whatever I put in here for x2, it's going to calculate what f of x2 is, and then it's going to calculate the rate of change. So if I put my 7 in there, it gives me all of those important values that I was looking for. If I put 6 in, 5, 4.5, 0.1. So that's a couple of different strategies for using Desmos to work with that same kind of problem that we were looking at with the graphing calculator.